My name is Émilie Poirier, and I'm the head of the short film here at FNC, and I'll be your host for this Q&A. So you just watched the program number 4 from the Les Nouveaux Alchimistes competition. In this program, you've watched Aletsch Négative by Laurence Bonvin, Meine, Liebe from Clara, Jost, Les Roses de Damas de Yasmina, Touzani et Gabriel, Gonzales, Guirola, Altötting by Andreas, Hykade, Push This Button If You Begin to Panic from Gabriel, Böhmer, and Aquí et ALLÁ de Melisa, Liebenthal. So with us today for the Q&A, we have Laurence Bonvin. Hi. We have Clara, Jost. Hey. Yasmina, Touzani.
Hey.
Gabriel, Böhmer.
Hello.
And Melina, Liebenthal. Hey.
Hi.
So first of all, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. And we'll start with a more general question. So please introduce yourself, your practice as a filmmaker, and after introduce your film. So we'll start with Laurence.
So hi, I'm Laurence Bonvin. I'm a photographer and filmmaker. I come from photography, and I started films about a little less than 10 years ago. And I'm very much interested in this connection between still and moving images. And of course, you know, having been a photographer for quite a long time, my way of filming and of thinking about filmmaking is very informed by photography.
Mm-hmm. Can you describe your film?
The film?
Yeah.
So the film was, this is the result of an invitation to be on a glacier in a art residency for about 2 weeks. That was in 2018, and because of the conditions of the residency, it was clear that I had to have a minimum like equipment with me. So that's how I started thinking about how to make a film with very minimal equipment, and that's how I came to actually use only a photography. I mean, a photo camera and sound. And so from there, I also decided to work with animation, and because of the subtlety of what I was going to film and the need that what I was going to film would be more visible, and that is the melting process of a glacier, the largest glacier in the Alps.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a kind of a journey. This is the best I think I could say, a journey into the glacier and into the body of the glacier, and eventually into something that connects us with the glacier, and that maybe even connects us with something even larger that could maybe be the universe.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. So same question for Clara.
I'm a Portuguese film director and editor, but I feel like I'm still starting, so I don't know how to describe myself very accurately right now. And I'm starting to do a master now in Belgium. So about me, I think that's it. And about the film, I did the film 4 years ago actually, but only now I felt that it made sense that, I don't know, for me it made sense only now. And it's about a tomato plant that I had in my balcony that only gave 1 tomato. So it's kind of a tribute to that plant, and also that film was needed at the moment because it was the moment where when I had to pick up the tomato, and I don't know, I just felt the need to do the film. Yeah.
Thank you. The same question for Yasmina.
Hello, I'm Yasmina, and it's my first short movie. And my partner is not here, but is Gabriel Gonzales Guirola, and it was third short movie for him, but for me it was the first, so new experience. I'm a writer, you know, like a poet. And for the movie, I was in Belgrade in Serbia, and I received a history of life of immigration, you know, from a Syrian guy. So I took it and I write it, and I met Gabriel, and after we make this film about the journey of refugee.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Same question to Gabriel.
Hello, my name is Gabriel Böhmer. I work as an animator. My film is Push This Button If You Begin to Panic, which is about a man who goes for a medical scan, and in the process he meets a number of unusual characters.
Thank you. So, Melina?
Hi, I'm Melisa Liebenthal. I'm from Argentina. I'm a film director, also editor occasionally. So my film is called Aquí, Allá, or Here and There in English. It's a film I did within Le Frenois, which is this art school residency hybrid place. So the film started around the question of what is home, like where is home, trying to find a definition for this mental and physical space. So I connected that with the idea, with the technology of geolocalization, and this idea of we are constantly traced in every step we take through our mobile devices, basically, and this idea of super precise geolocalization. And so it came together with this idea of localization and home, but is home identity, obviously, belonging. So that is a bit what the film is about.
Thank you. Cool. So the second question is more because we are in the Les Nouveaux Alchimistes program. It's more like experimental animation section for us. So I wanted to know what interests you in a more experimental or in animation cinema, and if we can call it your practice. Like Gabriel is more in animation, and like Yasmina just said that she's a poet. Like, what interests you in like a more experimental cinema, and why is it your outlet? So we'll start back with Laurence. Oh yeah.
Connection is not very good.
Have you heard the question, Laurence?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
Can you maybe repeat it there?
Okay, I was just wondering, like, for you, like, what interests you in experimental cinema in a more, like using more the form, and why is it your outlet?
So actually, I come from documentary photography, so I usually work in a pretty sort of realist way. What happened with this film, which is like my fourth short film, is that I was pretty already deep in the editing process, and I mean, and it was also, it's the first time I work with animation. Normally I don't work with animation, and I realized that actually the images I had shot were interesting, but that it needed something else, and that's when I decided to switch what I did with the images. I don't want to say too much, but so I think in this way, for me, experimental I mean, it's, I think, in a way of sort of questioning the image. What is it, also questioning the mere fact of seeing, like, what is it that we see when we watch this film? Is it something that is close? Is it something that is far? I mean, the question of scale. I mean, it allowed me, I think, with the kind of, and it's not only aesthetic, it's just a simple gesture that I did with the images that, that, you know, allow me to put in perspective what I had filmed, and I think question things rather than sort of give them as like a, you know, as a statement on Glacier. Like suddenly it really sort of reversed something, and I think that's why I think, yeah, I used, in this case, I used yeah, something, or at least an aesthetic that is close to experimental.
Okay, thank you. Clara?
Thank you.
I'm not sure what experimental actually is, and I think no one is perfectly, I don't know, I think it's not a very understood thing, but I don't know, for me, I think maybe this film could be called experimental because it's about something that is really not that important, or it seems to be just something that you see every day but don't look at it, and the way that the film looks at it is very melodramatic. It's like very intense, and I think maybe that's what creates the look of an experimental film. And that's also what I've been realizing that maybe I would like to do in my other films, because every time my ideas are always about something that is really, you would never care for it, but then I try to, with film, with cinema, with editing, and with the sound and everything, to give that thing that a meaning, like that it could be whatever, like a cup. Yeah, so I don't know, experimental, but yeah.
Thank you. Gabriel?
I think the experimental is the process that I really enjoy, because there's always a bit of discovery for me. So I don't maybe have a set, you know, monologue I want to deliver, but I want to discover something about the idea myself. And so I'm working through this idea and finding new things out. And I really like that it usually results in a dialogue with an audience. And so I'm not just trying to explain a specific idea that I'm trying to get other people to catch on. We can kind of have a conversation about a concept, and sometimes the ideas from people watching the film are much more interesting than my ideas. And so I really enjoy that whole process of discovery.
Thank you. Yasmina?
The thing was experimental for me. Sorry for my English, you know, I'm French, so the mix between, you know, the poetry, music, and images, and it was interesting to the collaboration with Gabriel, you know, because it was a discovery for me, work on the scenario and which images we wanted and which form. And the process was during 2 years, and you know, it was about construction and imagination, and that was for me the best experience.
Thank you. Melisa?
So experimental in my practice, I think it has to do more with what Laurence was saying in relation to questioning the image and like how our image is made, how are they made and what are they made of? Pixels or grain or like you know, the actual matter of the image. That is what interests me, and it comes from, I mean, my curiosity for that. I feel we are so surrounded by images in our phones, in computers, like it's images constantly all the time, photography, social media, and I feel they have so much weight on the way we perceive ourselves in the world that they can even replace you know, reality, whatever that is. But well, for me it's a intention of, you know, playfully breaking the image or playfully removing the image from this weight of being like the mirror of reality. No, it's not a mirror, it's just a bunch of stains and colors that and yeah, that is what how I understand experimental.
Thank you. So I'm going to go back to Laurence. So can you speak about more the genesis of the film and like why you are interested in more like landscape and glacier and everything that you worked on this film?
So maybe I said a little bit already about it, but I've been working with photography and a lot with landscape, actually, like with the periphery of cities, transformation of the landscape, whether it's the social landscape or urban landscape. And actually, it's really my first project where I've been really working with the natural environments, like the pure natural environment. And yeah, in a way, it was because I also grew up close to that glacier. So for me, it was also an occasion of like rediscovering my own, you know, like the place and the area where I grew up after doing projects, you know, a bit all over the place.
Yeah.
And on the other hand, it was also just chance, because I was invited to this residency, and so but sort of immediately I thought, oh yeah, that's something I want to do something with it. But I actually did not expect that so much would come out of it, because there's a film, but there's also video installation that preparing now. This opening I'm having tonight is that, and I just also have a book published because the single images that are part of the film are all like high definition photographs. So yeah, that's the genesis. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And also, can you speak about more your approach to sound in that case? Like,
well, sound is something I'm super interested in. Very little experience, and I like to collaborate for sound. In this case, I did the sound recording myself. It was done on site. I had with a simple Zoom recorder. But I wanted that. I wanted to have like field recordings. But these field recordings were then like reinterpreted by a musician and sound designer from Zurich. So. And then it was a collaboration with him to come to something that, you know, was at the same time precise, but also would convey emotions and a sense of something deep and almost bodily, almost physical. So yeah.
Thank you, Laurence. So I'm gonna go with Clara. Yeah, it's like you said, like it's a tribute to Tomato, but like what inspired you to do this tribute? And like you said, like you like maybe tell us about more like you like on the routine and normal thing that you want to magnify. Your mic is closed, I think.
Muted.
Oh, I think now it's open. Nope.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Sorry. The question was about what inspired me to this. Yeah, so basically I had that tomato plant in my balcony, and on the day that I felt that I really had to pull the tomato out of the tomato plant, I started asking other people if they wanted to do like a kind of a ritual or something, and no one was that interested. So yeah, so I felt like I had to do something, and I did this film. I had the idea in the same day that I shot it, basically.
And can you explain to us more about your visual approach to it, like your cinematography, why you chose to be like that, naturalism and everything?
It wasn't a choice. It was just the film just happened. I didn't. The only thing I chose was in post-production. That wasn't too much because I didn't have any money to this film. So yeah, basically the film was super conditioned because of chance and because it just happened. So yeah. But I don't know, I feel like that makes sense with the film. It wouldn't make sense to plan and to have lots of ideas to such a simple and simple and natural film.
And what did you do in post?
Nothing very special. I just I shot the film myself, and I at the time I didn't, and I still don't have much skills in image. So it was really bad, and I just corrected it.
Okay, perfect. Thank you, Clara. So we'll go to Gabriel. Can you speak to us about your technique, the paper and everything? It's so beautiful. Can you explain us like how you managed to do it and why you use that technique?
So everything is basically paper cutouts, and it's just white paper on white paper. And I'd say 90% of it is just completely analog. There's a bit of compositing, so I could, if there's, two elements moving, I could move them separately and then just add them on top of each other. And actually, I have a few of the pieces here, so you can, I don't know how well you can see that, but that's my main character.
Yeah.
And a lot of it gets very, very small at times.
Oh my God, yes.
And so the idea of the white on white came from within the film. There's a medical scan that the man goes to, which is an MRI, and the inside of an MRI is completely white. And so I had the thought that everything outside the MRI should be white. And that was also kind of inspired after having seen the artist Ben Nicholson. He has these relief pieces which are white on white, and what we end up focusing on is shadows as opposed to lines. And I was really attracted to this idea of telling a story with shadows instead of lines, because the main character has this maybe undefinable illness, and I think people with maybe difficult illnesses live in the shadows a little bit, and so that came about for that reason.
And what inspired you to speak about like medicine and MRIs and this story?
I guess some personal experiences. As one gets older, one seems to spend more time at the doctor, and not just myself, but family members and friends as well. And so I became really interested in healthcare for a bit there, and I did very fastidiously just write down anything that seemed odd to me as the patient, but I was also really interested in the practitioner side, and how it must be so difficult for somebody who's genuinely trying to help, but they're trying to function within a system that might be fragmented or disparate, and they can't own the whole process by themselves. And yes, it's just something that obviously affects all of us, and so I became very fascinated by it.
All right. Thank you so much, Gabriel.
Thank you.
We'll continue with Yasmina. You said that you wrote the poem to this film. How did you like manage to like meet this Syrian guy, and like how did it went? Like, can you explain us your process to write this poem?
I was in Serbia for 7 months, and you know, in Serbia, in Beograd, you have so many refugees, but they are like stuck in Serbia because the border are closed. So a lot of people organize like a festival, or you have a lot of association. We are related to refugees, you know, and it was a festival where you have three peoples who speak about their story, you know, and the life or run out of a country which in a war, or and you had like a Serbian girl, and you have an Afghan boy, and you have a Syrian guy. So I just took the story, you know, and speak with him a little bit, and after I wrote my poem, which is some elements of his life, and I wrote this poem, and I met Gabriel, and we make this short movie.
And how much you were involved in more in the production of the movie, like in the animation or in the sound or in the directing? So can you, because it was your first experience, as you said, like in this kind of film, so can you share this with us?
Yes. So it was a discovery for me. You know, I was like really new in this world, and the first step was the scenario. How create images with a poem, you know, and not represented like a sex or a gender for the character, you know. And after was the money, you know. So it was it was with university and crowdfunding. So we have a little bit money, and we had a lot of people who help us, like free, you know. So it was a really, really good experience because you can watch, you know, the beginning and the end, and you participate at the process. So it was really, really good for me. And Gabriel, imagine, you know, which material we can use, and which color, and which technique.
And were you involved, like when you was doing the technique, like were you really involved, like when you're doing the editing, how you were working together?
Yeah, for to create the town, you know, and the element of the short movie, yes. And but I was not really here when Gabriel use, I don't know the word in its bench title, you know, you have some four glaces and you put some sand, and Gabriel uses all of this, this technique,
And at the end, like for the sound and everything, you were there to, and you worked together to like create this sound.
Yeah, always we work together, and for the music we have some friends who plays some instruments. So the idea was to cut the music be accompagné. How do you say accompagné?
Like
accompagné, like
accompagné dans quel sens? Donc la musique accompagne
accompagne les paroles.
Okay, so the music like really fits in like with what we was saying.
Yeah, and with my voice, because I'm doing slam, you know, it's a kind of rap, and the idea was to search an harmony between music and between my voice. Yeah.
Oh, thank you so much, Yasmina.
Yeah.
So, Melisa, can you share with us like why it was important for you to work like on this film, like identity and everything? So, how you come across this idea?
How did I think about working around identity?
yeah, identity and like your exploration in your film.
Okay, so yeah, as I said, the film started around this question of what is home, where is home, and therefore, I don't know, that naturally came to the notion of identity, because home is belonging and belonging is who we are in a way. So, and it's also something I always kind of end up working with in my films, whether I choose it or not. It's just something that I'm drawn to that. I don't know why, like that. So once I heard someone say that Latin American cinema is very concerned with identity. Maybe, you know, something in the history of the continent, and I mean, especially Buenos Aires, Argentina, we have so much migration. It's such a mix, and at the same time, it's not something one talks about so much, maybe. But anyway, I'm not gonna talk about that. So yeah, for me, it was basically that. I mean, it was very simple. I left my hometown to go to France because I wanted. And then this notion of home becomes more ambiguous. So where is it? Is it here or is it there where I grew up?
Yeah.
And then I thought, you know, in relation to, okay, why am I here, or how am I able to be here in Europe? And therefore, and that's how I connected it to the story of my family, my grandparents, and how they were in Germany, chased by the Nazis, and then in China, chased by the Mao, by communism, and how, well, obviously that identity is it's like a puzzle.
Yeah.
And yeah, and well, yeah, and all comes together, like where was their home, and I don't know, all of that. And yeah, and migration, of course. So yeah.
And can you explain it more about like the technique that you use? Why in thinking about like identity and everything, like you said, oh, I will do it with Google Earth and everything, and using like technology more. So can you speak more about the form that the film took?
Yeah, so it started with Google Earth. I mean, I started thinking about the idea of home and thinking about Google Earth. So these two things together. So it came really together. And the first thing I had for the film is the first scene or sequence of the film, which is basically a screen video, a video of the screen of the mouse exploring Google Earth, and my voice talking about these questions about before, now I'm here, before I was there, where is my home, and all of this. So that is how I started the film. That is like the script in a way. And from there, I had that, and I thought it was interesting. There was something mysterious about it. There was something, yeah, appealing, but I felt it needed to be bent a bit. Idea, like the image there was something needed to happen. It needed to be broken in a way. That is how all the rest of the film comes from, that idea of, okay, how can I undo this? Because it was so easy to just stay in the screen the whole time. That, you know, I could have just stayed in the screen the whole time, but I didn't want to. I wanted to challenge that, and therefore that is how literally the rest of the film came from that gesture, and also the history of my family, which wasn't really, I wasn't really sure if I was going to use that or not, but then everything just sort of came together pretty naturally.
So it was instinctive, like as a process. You started with this, and after you went through and you tried things and you like. Yeah, it was like that. Yeah, it wasn't, I didn't see the whole thing from the beginning. I did one thing and I find another thing,
And then, yes, since we had a shooting, a proper shooting, yeah, for one of the shooting, I had like everything very well prepared because it was like very precise things we were doing in the shooting. But it did came, yeah, from a direct work with the material, with the matter, and then the script appeared.
And at the end, like, how did you manage to say, okay, I will narrate or not, like the sound and everything? How did you like create that narration, as we can say?
The voiceover?
Yeah, the voiceover and the sound in the film.
So the voiceover was from the very beginning. I knew it was gonna be my voice, and I was gonna be the narrator, and I was gonna place these questions and these ideas in a very, very simple, basic way. I didn't want it to be like a solemn or you know, sophisticated voiceover. It had to be very plain, very dry. And yeah, and then, well, the sound, I think, is also very dry in the film. It's very, I don't know, like it's like from the space.
Yeah,
like,
natural sound.
Yeah, natural sound. Yeah, it's not really no effects in the sound.
Okay. Thank you so much, Melisa.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, everyone, for being here with us to discuss your film. It was a pleasure to present them together too, like in this program. So thank you so much for accepting my invitation. And if you like this program, please don't be shy and share it on social media. Everything will be online until October 31st. So feel free to discover other films, other programs on the FNC platform. So thank you so much, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao.
Thank you.